We give thanks to the grace of the Lord for guiding the 2 weeks of NYTS and PMVP. Time passed by very quickly. Now we are drawing close to the end of this 2 weeks event. And it is the sincere wish for all the workers that we really wish that you found what you came for. And we sincerely wish that you are ready to face what you need to deal with. That wish that all of you, by the power of the Lord, are able to be the ambassador for the Lord. This morning, the assigned reading content is in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, from verse 1 to verse 18. That's basically the entire chapter. As I was preparing for the morning prayer section, that I read through the chapter a few times, and I wondered myself that how would you share about this chapter? That in fact, from my opinion, this is a chapter that's not easy to share, to derive points and to share. So I was quite curious, what are the points that you are able to derive from this chapter? But though, in my personal opinion, this is not an easy chapter for discussion, but for sure the content is very fitting as we draw close to the end of the NYTS and PMVP. That in here, the magic circle around the content, the circle around the theme of a letter of recommendation. So as we draw close to the end, perhaps we need to ask ourselves, am I a letter of recommendation for the Lord? That by reading us, that we are able to introduce the grace of Jesus to others. There are a few points I would like to share with you before we come forth to pray. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1. Chapter 3, verse 1. Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or do we need, as some others, epistles of recommendation to you, or letter of commendation from you? Verse 2. You are our epistles written in our heart, known and read by all men. Verse 3. Clearly, you are an epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets, or on tablets of flesh, but of the heart. That in here, Apostle Paul, he circled. He was writing. That he circled around this letter of recommendation. But in here, that we are able to find different perspectives. That he said at this time, there are people who go around with a letter of recommendation, that they are able to introduce themselves to others. That in fact, at that generation, this is a common practice. There's nothing wrong when you bring a letter of recommendation to introduce yourself to the strangers. Back then, the communication is limited, lacking of technology, so yes, people do not know who you are, especially when you travel afar. Okay? Back then, there were no telephone, there were no video chat, there were no internet. So when you are away from your hometown, nobody knows who you are. Lacking of communication means. So in order to visit a new place and being received, being accepted, sometimes people take a letter of recommendation that you visit a new village and people say, who are you? What are you doing here? And you bring out this letter and say, oh, so-and-so told me I can come. I shall find who and who, that they know each other. So by presenting this letter, it will help you to be accepted by the stranger. You are the stranger to them. Okay? It will be easier for you to be accepted by the new group, by the new community, that you are able to receive hospitality and able to be accepted as part of the new group. So back then, having this recommendation letter is a common practice to make it easier for you to visit a new place. However, at that time, there were also people abusing the system, that in the church, when you visit a new location, when you face the new members, that letter of recommendation might become a means for you to benefit yourself. Again, as I said, it was a general practice. There is no good or bad. It's only a system that helps you to get to know by the stranger. But however, there are people who abuse the system by using that letter of recommendation to promote themselves. And at that time, there are two ways. Number one, they forge. They bring the fake letter of recommendation using someone else's name to recommend without the knowledge of the person. They fake the letter, they forge the signature, and they say, see, Apostle Paul told me to come, and he said I am the best of the best, so you better listen to me. See that this letter from Peter, the oldest apostle, that he said that I am your new mentor, that everybody show him my instruction. So at that time, there were people who are using the letter of recommendation to promote themselves, to win the favor of men, and to gain their personal benefit. They profit from this letter of recommendation. And of course, there were some real letter of recommendation, but they also take that letter as the signature of their their supremacy above other members. With the letter, which were intended for them to come and serve the brothers and sisters, come and work diligently as the humble worker. They were waving the letter and say, I was recognized by Peter. What about you? What about you? I have Apostle Paul to endorse me. Who do you have? So they were using that letter that were meant to smooth the holy work, that were meant to make it easier for you to preach the gospel. They used that letter as a letter of credit, okay? As a credential, as a promotion that they want to show that they are higher, greater, and above other people. So in here, Apostle Paul, he was making fun, he was teasing that you need that letter, you use that letter. They are people who use that as a letter of promotion, just want to show their status. How about you? Apostle Paul said, I do not do that. I do not need that letter of recommendation. For I do not need the endorsement from men. But how is that relate to you and I today? What is your letter of recommendation? Are you taking the NYTS as your letter of recommendation? Are you taking the PMVP as your letter of recommendation? Do you say that because I attend this event, that show that I'm more knowledgeable than any of you? Back then, many years ago, NYTS, many years ago, that PMVP had a different name. Probably some of you know. If you know, that means you are old. If you know the name NYTS GP, the name stands for NYTS Graduate Program. Like, you know, that after you graduate from your bachelor, you go for the grad school, for your master, for your PhD. You are the upper, higher institution. So at that time, the name was NYTS GP, Graduate Program. Means that after you finish NYTS, then you can apply and enter into the next stage. But then, we got quite some feedback from the local church that some of the NYTS GP, they tend to act a little a bit too much, overinflated. So like during their Bible study, and they will be like, we learned this from GP. No, they don't say the whole thing. They don't say, we learned it from NYTS GP. That's too lame. They say, we GP. Like, you know that if you never attend, you're like, what? We GP. Yeah. And then they say, you know what? They were actually quite proud of that credential. Okay? So that if there's an argument in the Bible study over the different opinion, they will overpower the opposite opinion by, I attend GP. We learned this at GP. You don't. So you know what? It becomes what? It becomes a letter of pride. That they were taking that as a recommendation for themselves. Because I have GP, I attend GP, that means I'm more superior than you. And because of that, because of feedback, so we renamed the from NYTS GP graduate program, graduate student. We changed it to PMVP. As a pioneering missionary volunteer program, you are here to learn how to be a slave. Servant. Same thing. Servant is only the nice way to call a slave. Yeah. So you know what? This is what PMVP are all about. You are learn to serve, not that you are higher, greater, or above anyone else. So that's the letter of recommendation. Today, you are in NYTS. Some of you are graduating from NYTS, and thank God for that. That means you putting the effort, that you dedicate your time, and you thirst for the words of God. Thank God for that. Some of you continue to attend PMVP, and thank God for that. You have the eagerness to learn so that you can serve. Beautiful. But please do not allow this beautiful letter of recommendation from the church, from God, to become an act of pride, that you feel you are more significant, you are better than others. In fact, when we attend the TTP, theological program, you know that one of the instructors told us that if you are a TTP student, the more you learn, the more you know, the more insignificant that you should feel. Now, when you learn, then you realize there are much more that you do not know. The more you learn, the more you feel you are lacking. That's what we were told in TTP. That today in NYTS, even in PMVP, that everything you learn is only a very, very small part of the knowledge of God. So by learning, then here, it shall enhance your desire to learn more, to know more. It shall help you to see how little you know and how lacking you are. So the more you learn, the more humble you should become. So number one, that are you taking this letter and waving like those people in time of Apostle Paul and try to promote yourself? Please don't. Number two, Apostle Paul said, no, I do not need this letter of recommendation. But instead he said that, brethren, you are the letter of recommendation for us. So Apostle Paul did not rely on the letter written by men, by powerful men, by important men. He relied on the real transformation of the church member. That's why he said, brothers, yeah, you are the letter of recommendation. By looking at your transformation, by seeing the grace of the Lord upon you, that I have this letter already. So second, please do remember, you are the letter of recommendation for NYTS and PMVP. When you go home, the way that you act, you behave in your local church, your participation in holy work, and your interaction with the members, you determine the reputation of NYTS and PMVP. You determine the reputation of True Jesus Church in the presence of your friends, of your classmates, and your family. So as we draw close to the end of this event, that you have to realize that you have the responsibility to promote, not to promote the name of the speaker, but to promote the name of True Jesus Church. To promote the name of NYTS, to promote the name of PMVP, that you are able to show the differences so that the younger generation can look up to you and say, NYTS, one day I shall go. So that the local church council, so that the members, the brothers and sisters, they were able to see your transformation, and they were able to speak boldly to introduce our church to others. They are able to say to the truth seekers, come, bring your children, so that your children will become like them, you like you. And when the truth seeker come and see you, and they will be able to admire your differences and say, you know what? I wish my children to grow up just like you. You are the letter of recommendation for us. So please do not allow your transformation to cease as the event ends. Because you got work to do. NYTS and PMVP is not only about spiritual cultivation. It is not only about learning knowledge and memorizing the verses. If we go back to chapter 3, verse 6. We can go from verse 5. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency is from God, who also made us sufficient as minister of the new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Other than here, Apostle Paul said that this letter of recommendation, the epistle of the recommendation, is not by writing. What is the writing? Knowledge. That you are able to read, you are able to learn, you are able to know, but are you able to do? So that's the differences between that by letter or by the Spirit. Yes, you are in here, you are learning. You learn from different books in the Bible. You might obtain knowledges that you do not know prior. Maybe when you go back to your local church, you are able to share the knowledge that other people do not know or do not have knowledge. Which is, well, nothing bad, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong that you receive, that you learned, and you go home and you share. Which you should. You should share the knowledge that you learned so that more people who might not have the chance to attend the event, that they might be able to learn as well. However, in here it says that the letter kills, but Spirit brings forth life. So the epistle of the recommendation is not just the knowledge that you obtain in here. It's not only in your mouth you talk big about the words of God. Oh, I learned this in NYTS. Oh, this I learned in PMVP. Oh, do you know this? Do you know that? It's not the letter, because letter only make you proud. And the letter only bring death. Letter kills. If the only thing that you receive from here is more knowledge, just knowledge, then we failed. It's not knowledge alone. You learn the knowledge and mix with the Holy Spirit through prayers, that you are able to adapt the knowledge into your life. It integrates with your life. So the letter becomes you. Is in your life. It's not only as a knowledge. So everything that you learn in here, all the knowledge that you acquire in here, The most important thing is that you need to bring it back with you, and you need to mix it, integrate it, so that the knowledge that you acquire become more than just knowledge. It becomes your life. In fact, it becomes you. You are the knowledge. You are the letter. Your life show all the things that you have learned in here. You demonstrate what does it mean by finding favor in the eyes of the Lord. That's the second thing that Apostle Paul asks of you. That the living sacrifice, the living demonstration of what does it mean by knowing the ways of God. Number 3, let's go back to chapter 3 in 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 10. Verse 10. For even what was made glorious has no glory in this respect, because of the glory that excel, verse 11. For if what is passing away was glorious, what remains is much more glorious. Let's go to verse 17. Let's read verse 18. Verse 18, but we all with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, and being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. What was Paul talking about? He was talking about an incident in the Old Testament. That after Moses talked to the Lord face to face, he came down from the mountain. The face was glorious. That the people were unable to eye at him, unable to look at him. So he took a veil and he veiled his face until the glory slowly faded away. So the author, Apostle Paul, took that incident and made a comparison. That he said that in the old days, in the old covenant, in the Old Testament, that even when they even in their ministry, in their servitude, they were able to show glory, but that glory slowly fade away. But we shall be different in the new covenant, in the New Testament, that by reflecting the light of the Lord, that the glory upon you and I shall continue. So he was making a comparison. But please do not think that you are better or greater than Moses. That never happened. Okay? So what was he talking about? He was saying that the glory fades away slowly versus the glory continuously to remain on you. And if we bring that analogy into our life today, what does that mean? You are in here for 2 weeks. You read Bible, you pray, you have group discussion, and you fast. Okay? So I guess in these 2 weeks, that by the end of these 2 weeks, that when you walk out of this door and return to your respected church, you will be like Moses walking down from the mountain, emitting the glorious light. You think different, you value things differently, you talk different, you act different, I hope. I do wish that you were able to demonstrate and emit this glorious light after 2 weeks of NYTS. But what happened after that? Now the Bible says that that glory slowly fades away, which, as we know, some parents told us, like SSC students, yeah, when they finish SSC for the first week, they are so nice, so sweet. They find time to pray. They read Bible on their own. They even say thank you after they eat. They put the dishes in the sink. You know that, not sure if I told you before, that after one SSC, there's a mother who called me in weeping, crying. At first, my heart just, I thought something went wrong. Okay? When you have someone like call you and like cry so loud, I was like crying. I was like, calm down, sister, calm down. Everything will be fine. You know what? Tell me what happened. We can fix it. We can work on it. I thought something went wrong. You know that. You guys go home. You complain. Oh, food not enough. Oh, floor too hard. I don't know. Just send you all to Africa. You know that. At first, I thought something went wrong, and the mother was sobbing for like a few minutes. And when finally she was able to come, and she said, Pastor, it's a miracle. I was like, what happened? And she said that, SSC, the power of God. You know what happened? She said, the first time in her entire, that was the first time ever in her child's life that the child said thank you after eating. And the child actually took the plate and put in the sink. And then the mother started crying, was calling me, crying, and said, miracle, miracle. You guys are so sad. I hope that's not one of you, because that's a few years ago. A few years ago in Southern California SSC, which means that you might be that child. Is that you? You know what? Yes. Quite often after SSC, for a week, for 2 weeks, that you are able to demonstrate, to show the glory of the Lord. But then what happened? Slowly that glory fades away. You go back to your old self, and you are caught by social media. You cannot stop playing video games that even your parents will tell you to stop, do your homework. You start, go back to you. Yeah, so, sometimes I found some disappointed parents. They say that, yeah, they will be good, maybe for 2 weeks, and they will go back to their old self. Some parents, because expectation up and down, up and down, up and down. Because every SSC, they were like, oh, my child changed after 2 weeks. Oh, well, I guess not. That's when the glory fades away. But Apostle Paul said, it shall not be so if you continuously reflecting the light of God. Other thing here, it says that how much more for you and I, that if we are mirroring the glory of the Lord, and then we will continuously to shine the light. We shall continuously bring the glory of the Lord, so that everyone around us, they are able to see the differences. Young brothers and sisters, we wish, all the workers and counselors, we wish that you are not only the epistle of the recommendation for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, that we wish that the glory of the Lord can dwell upon you for the entirety of your life. And the only way to do it is by mirroring the glory of the Lord by a lot of prayer. So, we wish that beyond NYTS and PAVP, we can take the spiritual cultivation here and adapt it in your personal life. That you shall forever be a letter of recommendation for Jesus Christ. Let's all come to the front.